Welcome to Horror Year, where every story is a journey into the unknown. If you're brave enough to face your darkest fears and uncover the most chilling tales, you've come to the right place. So, dim the lights, turn up the volume, and subscribe to Horror Year. Your journey into terror begins now. We had no idea it would get this far. The purpose of the video was merely to amuse and frighten our fans. However, as I sit here penning this, I realized that we made a serious error. It began when Jake proposed that we record a video tutorial on calling forth a Wendigo. The plan was straightforward. Look for some eerie rites online, study the folklore, and compose a terrifying tale for our YouTube channel. We had engaged in similar activities in the past, such as exploring abandoned locations and using Ouija boards, but this was unique. In the murky light of Jake's basement, we recorded the opening scene. There, we had assembled a makeshift altar complete with candles, bones, and a battered book we had discovered in an old bookstore. We could just make out the word Wendigo on the cover despite the book's faded title. Perfect, we thought. Just what we required. We read aloud the weird phrases written in the book as we started the process. The room's mood abruptly shifted. There was a chill in the air and a violent flickering of the candles. We chuckled tensely and dismissed it as the product of our hyperactive imaginations. Then the scratching began, though. At first, it felt gentle, akin to nails scraping the cellar walls. We looked at one another, both of us trying not to panic. Jake shivered as he mumbled that it was probably only a rat. The scratching became more desperate and louder until it felt like it was coming from everywhere. "Is this part of the ritual?" our cameraman Sam asked, his voice almost audible above a whisper. With my heart racing in my chest, I shook my head. This was not intended to happen. Despite our desire to finish the rite quickly, we carried on, but the words on the paper started to become hazy. Focusing became increasingly difficult the more we tried to read. With an unbearable thud, the cellar door suddenly slammed shut. As we leaped, Sam dropped the camera, causing the lens to break upon impact with the concrete floor. Something moved in the corner of my eye, a shadow that had no business being there. "Who's there?" In an attempt to sound brave, Jake cried out, but his voice broke from fright. Once more, the shadow drew nearer. It was tall, abnormally tall, with joints that bowed in the incorrect directions and limbs that seemed excessively lengthy. And the smell, the scent of rotting flesh, the foulest stink imaginable. My stomach roiled, and I had to force myself not to throw up. The thing entered the flickering candlelight and we froze. Its face, or what remained of it, was a hideous mask of rot, its empty eyes glowing slightly in the shadows. The mouth was dripping with blood, stretched into an odd smile. "Wendigo," said Sam in a scarcely audible whisper. With a low, guttural growl, the beast gave us a terrifying shock. Even when we pushed and shoved, the door remained in place. The Wendigo moved slowly forward, enjoying our terror. It seemed to be barely holding itself together because of how jerky and strange its movements were. I have no idea how we got away. The beast locked onto me with its lifeless, icy eyes, and that's the last thing I remember before everything went dark. I was outside with the basement door wide open when I woke up. Pale and trembling, Jake and Sam were there immediately, unable to recall how we had gotten out. The book was gone, and so was the camera. We agreed not to bring it up again. However, I've heard that same scratching sound outside my window every night since. I'm sure it's monitoring us and waiting for us to make a mistake so we can call it back. This is more than just a narrative or a video for viewers. We called upon a genuine entity, one that desires to ensnare us in the shadows. Hence, avoid attempting to decipher the ritual if you're watching this. Avoid searching for the book. It's best to leave some things alone, since the Wendigo actually exists, and it's still accessible.